Greetings, Bat Family, and welcome to Holy BatCast, brought to you by real fans for real movies. You can find us all over social media on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for Holy BatCast. You'll find us. If you're a big fan of the show and you want to support us, you can do that on Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/holybatcast. As always, a big thank you to our patrons, and also, no pressure. I get it. Every dollar counts. So if you don't want to do it, it's cool. But for those of you who've done it, it really does mean the world. So big thank you. We're part of the Real Fans Podcast Network. Lots of great shows there. I should warn you, currently, new shows are not populating on our landing page at rf4rm.com. Trying to deal with it. It's not anything we did. Basically, Libsyn stopped supporting the website that we were using. So we're trying to figure out how to get it reconnected. But lots of cool shows to check out. Obviously, the original Real Fans for Real movies, Disorder, every Disney film, From Pencils to Pixels, Grim Grinning Hosts. Please rewind occasionally. It's been a while, I feel like, since they've had a new one. But anyway, check those out when you want. But right now, you're going to have to search for new episodes on your own because they are not populating on the website. It's real annoying. That aside, as always, I'm Andy DiGenova. Hi. You can find me on Instagram and Blue Sky and Letterboxd. My handle is always just my name, Andy DiGenova. It's not creative, but it makes it easier to find. And on this episode, we're going to talk some Batman. I should hope so. Holy BatCast. But we're going to talk different aspects. Mostly, we're going to talk about the new, not that new anymore, newish novel, Batman Resurrection, which is a sequel to Batman 89 and a prequel to Batman Returns. So we're going to talk about that. Came out last October, but I finally got around to reading it. And then we're going to do another episode of the Batman. And then we're going to do some emails like we always do. So lots of fun stuff to check out. And joining me for all that fun, it's our good pal from across the pond. I think across numerous ponds at this point. I don't know.
I'm not in the UK.
No, you're not. So that's why I'm like, it's multiple ponds, multiple bodies of water and land. But regardless, you're on the other side of the world, too far to visit on the weekend, which makes me sad. But it's nice to talk to you anyway. It's Brendan. Hi, Brendan.
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
I'm good. Oh, and I should say, Happy Star Wars Day, Brendan.
Yep.
So, FYI, just for you, Brendan, just between friends, Star Wars is a series of films and now television, movies, comics, toys.
Right. Okay.
It tells stories that happened a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Right. And that's the one with Shatner, right?
Pretty close. But
I know I just shut a lot of listeners by saying that.
You did. But anyway, we are recording on May the 4th, and we're going to celebrate Star Wars Day the way only we can by talking about Batman.
Correct. Well, it's already May the 5th here, so
you already missed it. You're on Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah. Oh, is it? Okay. I didn't know that was
Cinco de Mayo. I hope you're going to have some tacos and stuff.
Yep, because my IBS can handle that, no problems.
Or you could just watch Jesse tacos.
But yesterday was Star Wars Day here. I was at a toy fair, and I don't think I've ever seen so many Star Wars shirts in the one place before. It was pretty insane. There was no way of avoiding it yesterday.
I do like how it has become such a embraced thing. I think it's fun.
Yeah.
Also,
look, it's one of those things.
Pretty quiet.
Yeah.
Sorry, it was one of those things.
Oh, it's just like one of those, cool geeky things that, everyone knows I'm not a Star Wars guy, but we have Batman Day in September. It's obviously not as big, but that's where I sort of, Batman Day and Ghostbusters Day are the days that I, go all out and wear the shirts and watch the things and try and make, not that I don't do those things anyway, but like I try and deliberately do them on those days to celebrate the fandom. But
as you should. Well, then there was Alien Day a couple weeks ago too, which is, so there's more trying to do it, but I don't think anyone does it as big as Star Wars.
No, they've got the whole May the 4th, so,
exactly.
Can't really replicate that. It's
right. Mario Day, March 10th. Other franchises try. But you're right. Nothing works quite as well as May the 4th.
No, it's, and look, I have accepted a long, long, long time ago that there are people, more Star Wars fans than there aren't. I'm in the minority here. So it's not like every year I'm like, bloody May the 4th. It's just like, yeah, okay, cool. It's Star Wars Day. I can appreciate it.
I mean, I would have loved to have just hung out all day and watched Star Wars. I would have been into that, but we did not do that. We were good. We left the house. We went out, had a fun lunch, took the kids to Epcot. So I didn't really get to celebrate Star Wars Day much at all, except by listening to the Star Wars music while I was showering. That's all. That's pretty much all I did today, and in the car, I guess. Anyway, regardless, happy Star Wars Day to all who observe. We want to celebrate everybody's religions here on Holy BatCast.
Yes.
But we come from the Church of the Dark Knight, and that's what we're going to celebrate tonight.
Absolutely.
So here we go. Let's start with the first topic at hand. It is time to talk about the novel Batman Resurrection. And as I said, Batman Resurrection was released in October, on October 15th of last year. It is written by John Jackson Miller, and it is the sequel to Batman from 1989, but also a prequel to Batman Returns. And they also claim to, I don't want to get ahead of myself. They claim to be in canon with the Batman 89 comic miniseries.
Yeah, it's a lot. Which I don't try to overthink, so
it's probably for the best. But regardless, it is absolutely a sequel to Batman 89. We'll say that. And so it was something that I pre-ordered because I was excited about it. But, two small kids, it took me a while to finish it. And so what are you going to do? Better late than never. I finally did finish it a couple of weeks ago. And I told you, I was like, hey, Brendan, great news. I finished it. Let's do it before I forget it. And you were
yes.
you're like, mate, I'm not available for the next 3 weeks. And I was like, well, shit.
And here's the thing. I finished reading it in November. So it's been 6 months since I've read it. And, I'm sure most people are the same. I don't know, like I don't retain, like in the last 18 months or so, I think I've said on the show before, I've become a real reader again. Like I'm reading on average, like 4 to 5 books a month. So and it doesn't help that I'm doing that, I guess, but I don't retain information from books the way that I do a movie. And it's also much harder. Like, if this was a movie that came out last October and we knew, you were going to do this, it's like, well, I can watch that again. I don't have time to sit down and read a 300, 400 page book, so I
doubt your commitment, Brendan.
I'm going to be relying very heavily on Andy's memory, but I mean, I've got the book in front of me and I've got the plot notes up on Wikipedia. But I'm sure as we talk through it, things will come back to me. But as Andy said, yes, it's very much a sequel to Batman 89. Sometimes I felt maybe a little bit to its detriment. We can get into it. Yeah, I will say off the bat, no pun intended. I did really enjoy it, and I'm really, really keen for the next one. But we'll get to that too. Yeah, I had a few issues with it, but overall, I did really enjoy it.
All right, great. I mean, the first point is absolutely worth stating in the fact that it's a novel. It's hundreds of pages. There is a lot there, and so A, we're not going to be able to cover it all, but B, we're not going to even be able to remember it all because, like you said, it's harder to go back and refresh yourself on a novel than it is a 2-hour movie. I was hoping that someone online had done a more detailed, almost a Cliff Notes version, and that doesn't really exist that I could find. So the best I could find was the breakdown on Wikipedia to help refresh myself. So as we talk about it, we'll talk about what we remember, what we liked, what we didn't like, but certainly things will be left out. And if we get any detail slightly wrong, I just ask for forgiveness in advance, but that's going to happen. Which is why I was like, I finished it and I was like, let's record it tomorrow because it's all fresh in my brain. And that just didn't work out. So it's fine.
Yeah.
We'll get the broad strokes. And then, you guys will listen and decide whether you want to go read it yourselves, or maybe you've already read it, and that's cool too.
Or you've read
But
it and forgotten it, and we'll remind you of it.
yeah, it could be that too. But I will also say we'll do it like we do movies, is we'll start spoiler free, and then I'll give a spoiler warning just in case anybody out there is interested but hasn't gotten to it yet, or is worried about being spoiled or something like that. I'll give a spoiler warning just when we want to speak freely. So what I will do is start with the synopsis, and this is the official synopsis that was released with the book, so I don't think it is spoilery. I think it's also on the back cover of the book, but my version of the book is digital because I am like that. Sorry about it.
I've got the physical in front of me because I wanted it on my shelf.
Well, so you can tell me if the synopsis is on the back of the book, but this is like the official one.
It's not.
Okay, well then great. It's somewhere. Anyway, this is the official one. Here we go. After the Joker's death, Batman and Gotham City face a mysterious new threat in this direct sequel to Tim Burton's iconic Batman. This might have been also like part of the press release or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's on the inside sleeve of the book that I've got. It's a little bit different, but same thing.
Okay. So it says, the Joker is dead, but not forgotten. Gotham City is saved, but it is still not safe. By night, its new symbol of hope, Batman continues his fight to protect the innocent and the powerless. By day, his alter ego, Bruce Wayne, wonders whether there may someday be a future beyond skulking the city's rooftops or the cavernous halls of his stately manor alongside the ever-dutiful Alfred Pennyworth. But even the death of the Clown Prince of... even after death, the Clown Prince of Crime's imprint can be seen in more than just the pavement. Remnants from the Joker's gang are leading wannabes fascinated by his bizarre mystique on a campaign of arson that threatens the city, even as it serves greedy opportunists, including millionaire Max Schreck. And survivors of exposure to the Joker's chemical weapon Smilex continue to crowd Gotham City's main hospital. To quell the chaos, Batman needs more than his cape and his well-stocked utility belt. Bruce Wayne is forced into action, prompting a partnership with a charismatic scientist to help solve the health crisis. But as he works in both the shadows and the light, Bruce finds himself drawn deeper into Gotham City's turmoil than ever before, fueling his obsession to save the city, an obsession that has already driven a wedge between him and Vicky Vale. The loyal Alfred, who had hoped Bruce's efforts as Batman could help him find closure, finds the opposite happening. Nightmares begin to prompt Bruce to ask new questions about the climactic events in the cathedral, and investigations by Commissioner Gordon and reporter Alexander Knox into the arsons only amplify his concerns. Having told the people of Gotham City that they'd earned a rest from crime, Batman finds the forces of evil growing ever more organized and orchestrated by a sinister hand behind the scenes. The world's greatest detective must solve the greatest mystery of all. Could the Joker have somehow survived? And could he still have the last laugh against the people of Gotham City? Well, all right. There's your synopsis. And we will start spoiler-free with some thoughts and some reactions to Batman Resurrection. So, Brendan, you already started giving some of those thoughts. And on previous episodes, it's also come up in passing, and we've made some comments here and there. But now it's time to make them for real. What are your overall spoiler-free thoughts on Batman Resurrection?
Just trying to think without saying anything I shouldn't just yet. I mean, like I said, I did really enjoy it. I will say I enjoyed it much more than the Batman 89 comic run, which I've still only read the first arc for. I haven't bothered with the second because you keep telling me of all the delays, so I'll wait till it comes out and I can read it in one go. I liked it more. I got more out of this than I wanted to get from the comic series. Because I felt like the comic series, it's kind of weird. Like it sort of felt like its own thing. Like it didn't really feel like that much of a sequel to 89, if you understand what I'm saying. Like, this one, however, like everything is on the table. there's stuff that is in this book that I was like, wow, I never would have thought of that, or this character has a hell of a lot to do that really had nothing to do with Batman 89. And yeah, it's really enjoyable. Like I said, I'm really keen to see where it goes. I'm more interested in seeing the next story in this series than I am the comic run. I really have no interest in my head canon of keeping the comic running continuity at the moment. I'm much happier to go with with the book as filling in the gaps. But in saying that, it's what I wanted, but also kind of not. I want not. Sorry, it's kind of what I wanted, but also not in some ways. It's yeah, I still think there's a happy medium somewhere that kind of gives me what I want without going too far. And I think sometimes this book just went a little bit too far.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's sort of hard to dance around it without spoilers. So I'll stop talking. But yeah, it's really good. I enjoyed it, and even though it's not 100% what I wanted, um, for the most part, it was. And I guess it's no mean feat to write an original story set in between a well known a pair of movies and universe, and John Jackson Miller did a really respectable job, and I give him credit for that. But yeah, it's good. I don't see why any fan of the Burton Batman movies or just Batman in general wouldn't enjoy reading the book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that we mostly agree. I don't know if I liked it better or worse than Batman '89, the miniseries, the comic miniseries, because if you remember when we reviewed that way back when, is I liked it. I didn't love it, but I liked it, and I feel the same way about this. I liked it, didn't quite love it, and I think for a lot of the reasons you are alluding to or have just brought up. Um, to your final point, I've got to give all the credit of that. It's not an easy feat to be like, oh, how do you bridge the gap between Batman and Batman Returns? Tell your own story, but make sure you remain in continuity with both of those films. And then, and I don't think this is a spoiler, still leave yourself space to do another one, which is coming soon or this fall, I think.
Yeah, and it's the thing too. Like when I say it didn't give me exactly what I want, I can't even really tell you what I want, which makes it
Yeah.
even harder. But yeah, it just didn't quite scratch the itch that's there, but I don't know how to scratch it either. Like I couldn't do a better job. Like I wouldn't know what story to tell. So yeah, it is what it is, and it's a very serviceable story.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I do think that the story he is telling, this new story, and it does very strongly revolve around Clayface, which I again is not a spoiler. It's well publicized. And other members of the Batman mythology, but most of who have been set up in Batman or Batman Returns, but a couple new players as well. I think the story that John Jackson Miller came up with is a very good and interesting story. And so I enjoyed reading it. I enjoyed the path. I don't read a lot of novels because I don't have time. I don't have time to read comics. And that's why this one took me months to finish. But when I read it, I enjoyed it, especially because it is so set in the world of Burton's Batman. To your point, though, sometimes to a fault.
Mm.
It goes a little too hard on making every possible connection to Batman '89 as it can. And I love those connections. I love continuity. I love fan service. I'm a fan. Service me. But it gets it gets so excessive that it starts becoming funny at a certain point where you're like, oh, really? You're gonna call back to that? You're gonna call back to that 1 second in Batman? Okay, that's interesting. Go for it. You do it. I don't think there is a second of Batman '89. I don't think there is a character or a line of dialogue in that movie that is not somehow referenced in this book.
Yeah.
And it gets so much that it becomes distracting. And so it's very well done fan fiction. And again, I don't mean that to sound as a dig because it literally is that. It's fan fiction that has been blessed by whoever. I don't know who's allowed to bless this as in canon, but whoever did seems to have done that. And it reads like that, and sometimes to its benefit and sometimes to its detriment.
Mm.
So it can get a little distracting. I think that the characters they choose to introduce, you know, are just not as exciting as I think some of the others I would have liked to have seen. But I
Mm.
think a lot of that is personal taste. But again, he kind of doesn't have a huge choice in the matter because he knows that Two-Face is going to pop up in the Batman 89 comic, so you can't do that here. And obviously Penguin and Catwoman, who, you know, you can have reference to here, aren't going to show up until Batman Returns. So he worked within the parameters he was given, and
Mm.
overall I enjoyed it. I wish I could have loved it, but I still enjoyed the ride, and I appreciated the creativity in taking what threads there were from Batman 89 and expounding on them. I just don't think every single thread needed to be expounded
Yeah.
on, but he did, and then that's cool. Like if you know that movie backwards and forwards, every single line, like I do, and if you're listening to this, you probably do too. Well, then
Yeah.
you will be rewarded by this book because it assumes you know every single line of dialogue and it calls back to them.
Mm.
Uh, so yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a good read. It was fun. It goes to some interesting places. Again, some that I didn't see coming. Where I was like, oh wow, like, I mean, and it was there in the synopsis, so it's not a spoiler of like, is the Joker really dead? Like that's a subplot, and I was like, oh, that's an interesting thing to explore in this story. And I thought the way he did it was cool. It was
We'll get to
unique.
that when we jump over the spoiler wall.
Yeah. Um, but I was like, oh, that's an interesting angle. So yeah, I liked it. I enjoyed the ride, and again, I kind of took it for what it was, even if sometimes I giggled a bit.
Yeah.
You know, and there's also some interesting, and you know, I speak vaguely for now of like some interesting things of Batman of like, oh, you know, like creating as if it were a movie sequel, like, oh, you know, he's got a new suit here or a new vehicle here, and
Yeah.
coming up with some of
The
that
action
fun
figure
stuff.
line.
Yeah.
Yes. The thing that sucked about that, and even though I appreciate it, is like, yes, I can picture these things in my head, but that's the sort of thing I'd love for it to be a comic or something, because I'd actually love to
Yeah.
see it.
Yes. Yeah. I completely agree. Especially with like, there's a new vehicle that's introduced here that plays a pretty big part where I was like, oh, that's interesting. I know what I'm picturing, but I would have loved to have seen it drawn. Like
Yeah.
you said, like in Batman 89. So in the Batman 89 comic, excuse me, you know, when Robin gets a cycle, we get to see what that would look like.
Mhm.
And yeah, there are things here where it's just left to your imagination. That's the novel for you.
Which I know, yeah, that's books, like it's theater of the mind. I get it, but just that fan of me, because I mean, you can get, there's some novels where there might be an occasional sketch, you know, that
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
part of the book or a schematic or something, you know. I would have loved for that to have been included in this, like just a sketch of it to
Yeah.
show, you know, because yeah, it's hard to picture it, and then you're sort of trying to picture it in the same motif as like the Batmobile, the Batwing, you know, the Bat ski boat in the future. You sort of that
Mhm.
Burton Anton First style, and yeah, I'd love to know if what I have in my head is accurate, or if I'm
Right.
like
Yeah.
way off.
Yeah. I will say this. So first of all, again, I was trying to find someone who did a detailed breakdown of it and I couldn't find it. But what I did find was the review of this book from our dear friend Jay Yaws, who was on the last episode
Oh, cool.
talking action figures. Hope you enjoyed that, Brendan.
I did.
Yeah.
I did actually. It was great. I was
Did
googling it. I was going for a walk, listening to it, and I was googling the action figures while I was walking.
did it drive me to eBay? It sure did. Did I?
Yeah, I bet
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Do I have some new action figures? Yes, I do. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Anyway, Jay Yaws reviewed it for Batman News. And based on his review, I think he liked it a little more than I did,
Mhm.
but we're not that far off. It's a good review. So anybody
Of
wants to hear
course it
Jay's
is.
thoughts, go check out Batman News. But he did say something and I totally agree with, which is like it is definitely 100% a sequel to Batman the film that was released in 1989. It's an okay prequel to Batman Returns. There are certainly things that are set up in it that can get paid off in Batman Returns. The promise of it also is in canon with the Batman 89 comic miniseries is a stretch at best.
Yeah.
Um, but I think for the first miniseries, you can kind of go, okay, I guess. But now that there's a sequel miniseries, Batman Echoes, and I am caught up on that. Everything except the final issue, which will come out, I think
2027?
Harley's 18th birthday or so.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm gonna get it for her graduation. But that absolutely does not jive with anything in this book. So the echoes definitely, I think, contradicts things in this book. So that's why I'm like, it all kind of falls apart once you start getting into that. But anyway, regardless, leave the comic kind of on its own. But as far as between the two films, it works well enough.
Yeah. I mean, you were saying about how, you know, it's such a sequel to Batman 89. I'm curious to know if the pendulum's going to swing the other way in the next book, and it sort of does the same stuff but in reverse with Batman Returns. Like, you know, obviously you can't have Penguin and Catwoman. Well, Catwoman wouldn't even exist yet, but you know, I'm sure Selena will be heavily involved somehow. You know, with Max, and then I mean, you know, they do hint at Batman Returns stuff in Batman Resurrection. There's definitely some hints there. You know, not just Max Shrek being a bit of a subplot, but yeah. So I'm curious to know if there's sort of if he's going to do the same thing. You know, instead of calling back to things, seeding more things. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. I would imagine,
Yeah.
especially just based on this book, because he starts to here, but he must have already known that, oh, let's not go too heavy on that because I'm going to have a whole nother chance to do it.
Yeah. And there's things I want to say, but it's kind of spoilers. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not spoilers for this story, but I mean, I know the guys on the Fire Risers treated it a bit like a spoiler that, you know, the next one's coming, but you know, if you've kind of read some of the stuff online and everything, you know who it's going to focus on, and that in
Well, they've
itself
released the
is going to
cover art,
yeah.
and it's right there in the cover art. So yeah,
Like, can we say it? Like, it's. I mean, the next one's got the Riddler in it,
yeah. So
which you know is then even more so shows that you know Batman Forever. I mean, you know, they're not treating it as it's in continuity either.
right.
It's literally just the two Burton films, which, you know, I would have been curious to see a book that bridges the gap between, say, Batman Returns and Batman Forever. To be perfectly honest, like that would be cool. Like, you know, building the new Batmobile, and you can use other villains that weren't featured in those films. You could use a Scarecrow or something like that, or you know, you could have him, Dr. Crane, be a doctor at Arkham, and he's working with Two-Face, or you could have the creation of Two-Face happen in that book.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's. I mean, I'm looking forward to that just because I'm curious to see the Riddler set in the Burton world, and the Riddler's one of my favorite Batman villains, like same as you. So I'm curious to get a Riddler story, and you know, I'm going to be picturing Robin Williams as the Riddler in my head when I'm reading it. So.
Well, as long as you bring it up, and again, it's not a spoiler, is like, yes, they set up the Riddler in this for the next book. And that's where the continuity breaks between that and Batman 89 Echoes, because the Riddler is set up in Batman 89 Echoes.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not the same. They're definitely not the same person.
No.
So that's where the whole thing kind of goes to hell. So for what it's worth, I like how they're setting up the Riddler in Echoes better than what they did in this.
Yeah. I can
take
see that.
Take that as you will. But okay, well, let's get over the spoiler wall just in case. You know, again, we liked it. It's definitely worth reading if you're a Batman fan, if you're a Batman 89 fan. I wouldn't quite call it a home run, but I really dug it. I enjoyed the time, and you take it for what it is, and it's a fun what if, kind of like the Batman 89 comic. So is that fair? Anything to add, Brendan?
No, I agree. I'm with you.
All right, cool. Well, let's speak freely about some of this stuff. Again, it's fuzzy as to what is truly a spoiler, but better safe than sorry. So if you don't want to know any more than that, jump ahead to our review of the Batman, or just hang out and listen. That's fine too. But now we're going to speak freely about spoilers. In 3, 2, 1.
I have to say it. If your favorite character from Batman 89 is the boombox carrying Lawrence from the museum scene, boy, are you about to be rewarded.
Your
Because
day
this
has
book could
come.
have been called Batman Resurrection: The Lawrence Diaries. He is a huge character in this book. And like that to me was the part where you said, Andy, sometimes it felt a bit funny. It was like, man, I've never thought about Lawrence ever as much as this guy has.
Like I think Lawrence is cool. I didn't expect him to be like the third most important character in this book.
No.
It's it is wild how committed to the character of Lawrence Batman Resurrection is. But it is, sure enough. I mean, and I'll tell you, like, I knew what we were in for pretty early on, because pretty early on, Clayface, before he becomes Clayface, he is Carlo Babbage, and then he eventually his stage name is Basil Carlo, which that's fine. He goes to buy some cosmetics on the black market, and the two guys who sell it to him are the two thugs from the opening scene of Batman 89 from the rooftop scene. And I was like,
some of that I liked.
oh, I'm not saying I didn't like it, but I just was like, oh, really? We're bringing those two guys back in, like, and it was very early on in the story where I was like, oh, that's crazy. Like, that's a deep pull. And like, it didn't end there.
No.
That one I thought was kind of a fun callback. Don't get me wrong, especially because it was early on. I wasn't exhausted by it yet, but there are some that are later on where I was like, "Oh my god, are you kidding me?"
Like I'll because again, it's the early part of the story. I really, really liked, and I thought it was genuinely clever that to bring in the Smilex thing, like because it
Yeah,
would, like
absolutely.
that's kind of like, I guess, not pandemic's probably not the right word, but you know what I mean. Like that city was crippled, like they couldn't use any of these products and everything, and they, you know, that never gets mentioned again.
Yeah,
And I thought that was really, and the fact that they tied, and when you think about it, it makes so much sense, but I'd never thought of it, you know, using the Smilex chemicals to be the linchpin that creates a Clayface character. Like, I genuinely, I thought that was genius.
no,
And
I'm with you on that. I completely agree. Like, yes, because you're right. Smilex is such a big part of the film, but then the Joker dies, and it's like, it's everything's fine. But I do appreciate that this story was like, oh no, like that's not something that gets fixed overnight.
no,
And
like
there
it's
are
6 months later and they still can't use beauty and hygiene products because they're still tainted.
yeah, and the people who survived now have like their own wing in Gotham Hospital, and Bruce Wayne
Which
is
I thought
funding
that was
it.
really cool as well. Like I
Yeah, and
loved
so
that
yes,
sort of the continuity stuff. I
yeah, yeah,
genuinely loved.
yeah, agreed. Like the repercussions of the Smilex epidemic is a really smart story point in the story.
Yeah. And but I mean, I know I'm gonna do a Jamie Drewley here and jump ahead, but like for me, I don't know if it had the same effect on you. The fact that this book's teasing a return of the Joker, and
Uh
then you introduce Clayface in the first act, that, and I mean, the book reads like it's a mystery. Like Bruce,
yeah,
there's things
yeah.
that happen, and it's just like it's Clayface. Like,
Well, we already know. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
It's
like there's
yes.
no way the book is going to undo the end of Batman 89 for some, you know, for some sort of mystery. Like, you know, it's Clayface, but the book reads as if you, like, you genuinely don't. Like, it's a real mystery. Is like, like, Christ, the Joker could actually be back. Oh my God. It's like, no, you don't introduce Clayface and then bring the Joker back and it not be Clayface. Like, I'm sorry, that mystery just never worked for me. I always knew it was Clayface.
Well, and that is a bit of like a storytelling no-no, is like the audience shouldn't be that far ahead of your main character. And in this, it's most of the book. Like by this, from the moment Joker reemerges, and then there's like, I mean, it's half the book of Bruce, and then eventually Vicky and Knox and Commissioner Gordon trying to figure out, has the Joker truly survived, or is this an imposter? And the whole time, to your point, the reader, we know. So all of that swirl with them is a bit pointless. There's
And there was
no
the whole thing
suspense.
with the body of Jack Napier had been dug up or something that kind of,
So
maybe
that was that was what that made me giggle, because they were like, "Oh, they found this body and they checked it, and they're like, oh, it's not actually Jack Napier," and they're like, "It's the doctor that fixed his face in that one scene from the movie,"
that's
and I was like,
right. Yes.
"Oh, we're calling back to that doctor from that one moment in the movie. Okay, all right." So it's like that stuff that I just thought was so ridiculous. Where it was like, "Well, who should this body be? Let's make it be the doctor who
Yeah.
you see what I have to work with here." So yeah, like stuff like that made me laugh. But the absolute worst, and this is really giving like 5 spoilers at once. So there is a very important character who's helping run this Smilex ward. His name is Dr. Hugh Auslander.
Hmm.
And if there is a doctor named Dr. Hugh Auslander, for me, it was never a shock who he ended up being, even though one of our listeners told me a month ago. I wouldn't have been surprised anyway. He ends up being Dr. Hugo Strange. It's fine.
Hmm.
Um, but then when they give us like the backstory of Hugo Strange, and I've never been a big fan of Dr. Hugo Strange. I always feel like he is better in a supporting role. I don't think he's that very
100%.
he's not very compelling as a main villain, but I think that the way that John Jackson Miller used him here was very good, especially because the fact that he eventually creates his monster men for the ending, which I thought was cool. But we eventually get like a backstory of Dr. Hugo Strange, and it turns out, oh, he is the doctor who actually created Smilex for the Joker.
Hmm.
And then they go, yes, he was the man with the clipboard in that one moment in the movie. So there's that one moment where the Joker's on the catwalk and he's like, have we shipped 1 million of those things yet? Well, ship them all. And there's just an old man down there with a clipboard. This book says, oh, that was Dr. Hugo Strange all along. And I was like, y'all, give me a break.
And see, the whole thing having he tries to make it work, but him like having the different name and stuff, it's like that doesn't make
Why?
that's only there to trick us, the
Yeah.
reader. It doesn't make sense in the world of the book. They tried to make it work, but to me that fell a bit flat. And look, again, like you said, with the Monster Men, when I realized that was happening, I was like, oh shit, okay, we're doing
That's
the
cool.
Monster Men.
Yeah.
But then part of me was like, does that really work in this world though? And then I'm like, it doesn't work in the world of Batman 89, but it kind of could maybe sort of work in the world of Batman Returns, where you've got the Penguin Man of the Sewer and Catwoman being, brought back to life by whatever, like, that sort of supernatural side of it. It's like, does it work? Maybe, sort of. I'm not sure. Like, I appreciate the fact that you brought in Hugo Strange and then did the Monster Man. I thought that was cool. But yeah, there's just that part of me that's still kind of like, I don't know, does it really fit? Like, I don't know how you felt about that. Like, if you think I'm right or wrong.
I liked it. I liked it because I feel like this is sort of the protection that a novel gives you, is it's all in your mind. So like, it doesn't have to work the way it would have to work in a movie, where they'd have to be very careful about how mutated are these monster men and how over the top are they and how will it fit into this world. Like, all of that is something that you've got to do when it's a film. Whereas here it's like, hey, you know what? It works as well as your imagination can make it work. So it didn't bother me at all, especially because in this, I have mixed feelings about Clayface, in that I think Clayface is a really compelling character. I really like the way he's written. He is the most fleshed out. I mean, we go on a full journey with him.
Mhm.
But he's never truly a villain. He does villainous things, but it's always, because Hugo Strange is manipulating him, and eventually Hugo Strange has hypnotized him and is forcing him to do things. So I like Clayface, but the fact that he never goes full villain in this, and then by the end he's just Batman's, colleague, partner,
Mhm.
like, then he's not the big bad in this. It's Hugo Strange, and if Hugo Strange is the big bad, Hugo Strange is not a true physical threat to Batman. So I feel like you need the Monster Men, because Batman's got to fight something.
Yeah.
And so I was okay with that. I mean, aside from Lawrence, he can fight too, but
The whole Lawrence, we've been joking about the Lawrence thing for months. He's such a main character and it blows my mind. But that's kind of the stuff, like you said, with the guy becoming Hugo Strange and the whole Lawrence of it all. That's to me where it's clinging on to the continuity of 89 a little bit too much. Like, honestly, I could have done, like, the whole Last Laughs gang, I could have done without. Like, that's why I never really liked the Joker's gang in Batman Beyond, because it's just like, yeah, okay, I get it. You're paying homage to this criminal legend or whatever, but it's like, it's not the same as having that character there. And as much as you can try and do it, and they tried with Batman Beyond as well, which, not a bad movie, I will say, but like, it's still not the same. Like, it's not the same as having the Joker present. And like I said too, the mystery side of it never ever worked for me with the story, because you knew it was Clayface. I could have done without the Lawrence side of it and the Last Laughs and all the connections to the Joker. Like, the Smilex stuff then creating Clayface is kind of enough for me. Like, I would have been happy with that. Like, and then, just having the recurring characters of Knox and Vicky and Harvey and the mayor and stuff like that. Yeah, I wouldn't have lent so hard on the memory of the Joker. I think Smilex did that enough. Yeah, I would have been happy with that. And then you could have just done like a straight Clayface story, or, had Hugo Strange be part of it and kind of the, introducing the whole two villains thing. And again, I don't know exactly what the story would have been, but yeah, I don't think it needed to rely as heavily on, like you said, the smallest minute little things from Batman 89 that call him back on them. It could have led in with the whole Smilex thing, creating Clayface, and then we're kind of off to the races. Like, we don't need the whole story to be tied down so heavily with what happens in Batman 89.
I totally hear where you're coming from, and that is sort of like the decision you make is like,
Yeah.
do you use Batman 89 as a launching point for a new story, or do you want to try to make this feel like a continuation of that story? And they obviously went with the latter, and I can see pluses and minuses for both. I do think that, again, it does it too much, but they wanted to have the Joker involved, but the Joker is dead, hence Batman Resurrection.
Yeah.
So I don't have an issue with it, within this story, but you're right. There is a whole different path they could have taken where it's like, oh, we use the Smilex as the launching point, and now it's about Clayface. It's about Hugo Strange, and it doesn't have to be about everything the Joker did and still dealing with the Joker. Because, yeah, like the Joker looms heavily over the entire story, even though he is dead, because, that's why once he reemerges, that's why Vicky comes back. And, he is, Gotham thinks he's back and he's making threats again. I mean, and again, I think that even when he comes on TV and makes threats, he quotes himself from the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, yeah, like I get it, but I also understand that he was probably like, well, it sucks the Joker's dead. So how can I keep the Joker in it without contradicting the movie? And this is the way they went. I didn't mind the last laughs, especially because that's who ends up becoming the Monster Men. I appreciated that as like, at least this is where they came from. But I totally also see where you're coming from. So it's, when Lawrence showed up, I thought it was going to be like the two thugs from the beginning, where I was like, oh, it'll be like a fun little scene with him, and that'll be that. I did not
through line through the whole story.
I did not expect the entire thing.
And not just Lawrence, his boombox plays a part.
oh, very important boombox. But like, Lawrence is like leading the last laughs, and he is doing jobs for Max Schreck. And I kept expecting Max Schreck to play a bigger part, but really it's kind of a handful of small cameos that he was also trying to manipulate things with Lawrence. And then by the time Hugo Strange takes over, Max Schreck sort of disappears. At least that's my memory. So again, maybe the plan is, oh, well, I'll use him sparingly now because I know that I'm going to use him in the next one. I think Selena Kyle gets like a scene just to show that she's there.
The Penguin, from memory, and again, it's been 6 months. The Penguin Man in the sewer gets a mention, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
So there is a scene where something is happening. I don't remember what. I think it might have been like the Last Laughs arson spree throughout Gotham. And the strong man from the Red Triangle gang is at like a 7-Eleven buying snacks. And he's like, his inner monologue is about like, oh, boss likes these. And he talks about like, and he acknowledges the Penguin as his boss.
Mm-hmm.
So he's there, but it's just the one scene.
Yeah. It's gonna.
So
I'm picturing the Red Triangle gang playing a much bigger part. Like they'd kind of be the substitute for the Last Laughs in this book, I guess.
yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, a lot of people said from 1992, like, there's not that much connective tissue between Batman and Batman Returns.
Right.
You know, and the Batman 89 comic, because it was the first, continuation that we'd had. Again, I don't know what I expected from it, but it didn't really give me what I was hoping to get. Again, I can't really verbalize what I was hoping to get, but I know you know what I mean. Whereas, and that's why I still I really loved, and I loved the review you guys did of it a couple of months ago, like the original Batman 2 script. I think it sort of walked the line perfectly. It feels like it's in the same world. Like, that's why I mean, look, I like Batman Returns. It's not my favorite, but I do like it. But I always that's my what if. Like, I'd love to see that original Batman 2 script. I would have loved to have known what would have happened if that had have been what was made. But yeah, this one, I said it clings on to so much stuff. It can, as you said, it can be distracting, and it is distracting in certain parts, and in some parts, a bit of an eye roll as well, like with the who Doctor Strange really was. It's like, geez, really? Okay,
right. It literally says in text, the man with the clipboard, and I was like, you didn't have to do that. He could have just been not in the first movie. It's okay. And that was definitely a moment where I giggled a bit. So, and you're right. Like that's always been my biggest issue with Batman Returns. As much as I love that movie, is it needed to feel more like a sequel to Batman 89. And this is you're right. The cautionary tale of going too far in the other direction. There's somewhere happy in the middle. I mean, Alexander Knox is in this, and that makes me happy. And I will say that I think that the way he writes Knox, I can absolutely hear
100%
Robert Wool saying those lines.
Yes.
But again, there's even a point where Knox goes, I've talked about Gotham's greed before, but this is ridiculous. And I'm like, come on. But I was a little disappointed that Knox didn't play a bigger part in this. Like, he's there enough, but I was excited when he showed up at the beginning, but then I feel like he's away for a lot of the story and then kind of comes back towards the end. But
remind me, because I'm blanking, because Bruce and Vicky aren't dating anymore, which means their relationship ended real quick.
Yeah, so when this starts, they had already broken up. Vicky had moved away. I want to say she might have gone to Bloodhaven. Anyway, she's gone. And then once the Joker reemerges, and we all know it's Clayface impersonating the Joker, but once he reemerges, Vicky comes back because she is worried about Bruce and also wants to try and figure out what's going on.
Yeah. So in the interim, is it Silver St. Cloud or Julie Madison that Bruce?
It's Julie Madison.
That's right. It's Julie Madison. So, and there was part of reading it, I was kind of picturing Elle Macpherson.
I was too.
Yeah, because at that point I didn't know that they're really breaking away from that continuity from after Batman Returns. So I was picturing Elle, because I'm just like, well, that makes sense that they'd reference someone who does come into the movies later on. But yeah, again, it was just interesting to see that I thought he and Vicky would be still together.
Yeah. Yeah. And at first I didn't think she was going to come back at all, but then sure enough, she does. And, they have more conversations about their relationship and whatnot. And she's like, you're never going to give this up, and that's okay. But, she pieces out again. But yeah, she's in it for like the second half of it.
Yeah.
But you're right. I pictured Elle Macpherson too, just because, it makes it easier. But she and Bruce break up pretty quickly in this story anyway.
Yeah,
So
he's not really into it anyway, really. Like,
right.
He's just kind of using her for arm candy.
Right. It's much more for like, the public image and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, she is in this as well.
She's a stage actress, isn't it, from memory, isn't she? Because she ties into the whole stage career of Clayface before he becomes Clayface.
Yeah. So in this Clayface, yeah, he's a wannabe stage actor who tends to never get the part, but he's always in and around. I will say, I loved the added locale of the old theater.
Mm-hmm.
What was it called? I can't remember. Oh, well, there's a theater that they constantly refer to that is like eventually becomes the home base for Clayface and the last laughs and everything. But there's a lot that happens in the theater. But that was one of those things where I was like, okay, I could totally picture.
It's not the Monarch, is it?
No, because that's a movie.
That's the movie theater. Yeah. Anyway, I know what you mean.
But I could totally picture, like, in the world of the Anton First Gotham, of like having this cool old classic theater that now is a villain's lair, and I dug that a lot.
Yes,
but this one was very obsessed with the cathedral because it culminates again in the cathedral, and that I think is a miss. I'm like, you don't want to just do the same finale in the top of the cathedral again. Like, because it sort of has like one finale in the theater, which felt correct because the theater is like the big new locale, but then they all end up in the cathedral. But anyway, so I liked the theater, and then yes, like Clayface's arc of him being an understudy and running errands for the big star, and then he takes the place of the big star and ruins his reputation, ends up accidentally killing the big star, which then leads him to then be controlled by Hugo Strange. And then we find out Strange actually killed the guy and just made Clayface think that it was him. Mm. But anyway, yeah, like that whole thing about being a stage actor in the theater is hugely important in this for both Clayface, and then that's how Julie Madison is woven in there too.
Yeah.
We mentioned like the suits and the vehicles and stuff. So yeah, there's like a daytime Batman suit without a cape where, he's got to go on a mission in the day, which I thought was like, oh, I want to see what that looks like.
And it's like, from memory, is it a silver color or something? Like it's not black. I remember it not being black.
So. So I was basically like picturing the sonar suit from Forever, but without a cape, and then with like shocks of like blue. So kind of like silver and blue, but no cape, where that's just what my brain made up.
The no cape thing kind of threw me because it's like he still needs a cape to be able to like get around, if he's like gliding or whatever, or swinging, as I know you're a big fan of.
Yeah.
The loss of cape, Batman without a cape just doesn't feel right to me. I don't know where you sit on that.
Those are his bat wings, of course.
Yeah. I think he's just a guy with horns.
Yeah, he is a bat. Bats have wings. Do you know what bats don't have? Flying squirrel flaps. That's what they don't have.
That's true. It's a quick little shot in there. I like it.
I'm sorry. Anyway.
No, you're not.
I'm a little sorry. And then, yeah, like he has this new vehicle of the Roost that I was picturing as like a pedestal hovercraft that he was standing on and driving around.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how you pictured it?
Kind of, yeah. This is the one where I really needed the sketch.
Same. And I literally Googled it just in case someone made one, but I didn't find anything. Because, yeah, I was like, it was called the Roost. And yeah, it was like a hovercraft, but it sounded like he just sort of stood on it like a platform and had a steering wheel.
It felt just like a big flat thing.
Yeah. So I was very interested to see what it would be. But I like the creativity of John Jackson Miller being like, okay, if this was a movie sequel, you need new suit, you need new costume, you need new gadgets. No new gadgets come to mind, though I think they were there. But yeah, I liked the fun of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was neat. throughout the story, Bruce is having recurring nightmares about the finale of Batman 89 in the cathedral. And it was like, not only did he want to pay homage to the movie, he also seemed like he wanted to help like patch up plot holes in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And personally, I didn't think it's necessary. I think it was a bit much, but
Because yeah, a
whatever, you
big
do
part
you.
of it was like, how did all the goons get? Like,
Yeah,
why were they in the cathedral?
yeah. So it was like it seems to be bothering him that like why were there goons in the cathedral at the end of the movie, and also why did the Joker say I was a kid when I killed your parents? Um, the goons in the cathedral, I will say I never questioned because it is in the novelization of that movie of
Mm-hmm.
why they're there. Although this contradicts that, so this gives you a different story, but regardless. So that to me has never bugged me, but maybe it's bugged other fans. Is this a big thing? I don't know.
I was
Um,
just always the meeting points, the cathedral. That's where we're going to meet up. Like,
um, like in the original novelization of Batman, when he gets to the top of when Joker gets to the top of the cathedral, the goons are there, and they literally said, "Oh, like once Batman showed up, we came back here to wait for you," or something. It was something. It was very simple. It was nothing
yeah,
complicated, but it was like, "Oh yeah, like that's why they're there." So for me, that was always plenty. But in this, it was like they said that Joker sent them there early, but anyway, like, we don't find that out till the end because like it's another one of those mysteries that it's
is the
bothering
Joker really
Bruce.
alive? Like, yeah,
It's like, yeah, why were they up there? And is the Joker still alive? Did they switch the body? Did they throw another body off the top? Did they hide the Joker? Like, so that all went into it. And then the other thing was the of you killed my parents, and then Joker saying, I was a kid when I killed your parents. And that I have heard fans bring up as being like, how would he know that? He wouldn't know that, or did he know that? And so the book was like, well, I'm gonna address it.
mm,
um, so Bruce was saying was like, did he know who I was? Did he know what he did and all that? And after all was said and done, it's literally the same way fans have explained it away for years, which is he's a Joker. He's just talking BS. He's just responding and making jokes of like, what? I was a kid when you killed your parents. You
yeah,
say I made you. You got to say I made you. Like he's just being the Joker. He's just being silly. He didn't actually know who Bruce was or Batman, but it was just funny that that he felt like I'm gonna address these plot holes right now.
yeah. And then, as you said at the end, it sort of starts to slowly introduce the Riddler, which I mean, I didn't see coming. I mean, in the actual novel, like one of the very last pages is all black and it says coming, 2025 Batman Revolution. But obviously, I didn't see that reading the book, and then it starts introducing the Riddler. I'm like, oh shit, okay, we're doing this, and then I saw the whole, coming 2025, and like I said, I really like this book. I didn't love it, but I'll be honest, I'm genuinely looking forward to the new book coming out. I'm really curious to see, even more so knowing how this was written. I'm just really curious to see how the next one's going to be. Like, will the red triangle be a big part? Will it, like I said, sort of do what this did but in reverse? Instead of calling back to stuff, will it seed stuff? Like, how big a role is Max Schreck going to have? I'm expecting him and Selena to be a much bigger part, and most intriguingly to me is what's this version of the Riddler going to be like?
Yeah, no, I'm also curious. So they start introducing him. I'd say probably in like the last third. And in this version, he is a reporter at the Gotham Globe named Norman Pincus.
Mm-hmm.
So once they introduced this character of Pincus, I was like, what? And then I started, then we start learning more about him. I was like, oh, I think he's their Riddler. And then sure enough, he is. He starts sending riddles. He kind of saves Batman at a certain point, or he at least claims to have saved Batman by getting involved. So he's like paying attention to everything that's happening in Gotham, sending riddles and information, but from the shadows, not telling who he is, but we as the reader know who he is. And so yeah, I was like, oh, okay. So they are setting up the Riddler here. And you're right. I am more interested in the next book just because it's the Riddler. We all want to we all wish we could have seen what the Riddler would have been like in the Burton verse.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and this will be a version of it. But again, we're getting an alternate version in Batman 89 Echoes. So,
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't realize the Riddler was in Echoes. So,
well, that's what I was saying. Is they start setting up the Riddler here. This is definitely not the Riddler they're setting up in Echoes, and so it can't be the same continuity unless Norman Pincus changes his name in the book, and it is the same guy.
well, see, here's the thing. I was before I even knew he was the villain in Echoes. I was about to say, if I'm reading the next book and Norman Pincus is like an alias for some BS reason, like the Doctor Strange was, I will not be happy because again, it's just there to trick us. And it's if so, if it doesn't really work for the story? I mean, you don't need to do it just to trick the reader, but yeah, I'd be. If his name's Norman Pincus, he better stay Norman Pincus and not be Edward Nigma for some stupid reason.
Yeah. Well, and again, he has a different name in Echoes, and for what
What's
it's
his
worth,
name in Echoes?
Something Maynard.
Oh, okay. Just call him Edward Nigma. Jesus.
So well, here's the thing. So his name is something Maynard, and Echoes has a lot of problems. We'll talk about it one of these days, but it also has some really great ideas, like this. So, and I think one of the great ideas is what they're doing with setting up the Riddler. I will say this more as a tease, but one thing I love about the books, the comics, is that they're essentially casting the characters with actors who would have played them in the day. So, like, Scarecrow looks like Jeff Goldblum. And I love that. Oh, yeah. Like, I love that. I think that's great. Because, yes, he would have been a great Scarecrow back in 1995 or 1997. So who they cast as the Riddler, I'm not going to tell you who, is brilliant. And I was like...
Well, I'm Googling it now. I'm to see if I can work out who it is.
I was like, holy shit, why did no one ever think of that? It's brilliant. And, well, if you're at it, you can maybe say his full name. I don't know.
Norman Pin.
It's not Pincus. Okay. So his name is Edward Nigel Maynard, and when you put it together, it's Enigma.
Okay.
So it's still Enigma, but without being Edward Nigma. And I thought I was like, oh, that works. That's fine. Edward Nigel Maynard. But again, the actor they are drawing as the Riddler is awesome.
I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing an image.
Well, we'll try to find it. Anyway, my point is I really like what they're doing there. I guess there is a possibility that Norman Pincus is really Edward Nigel Maynard. I don't know.
Oh, hang on. I think I just saw it. And can I say who I think it is?
Sure.
Martin Short?
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah. They drew him as Martin Short, and I was like, absolutely. That would have been awesome. Especially because Martin Short and Tim Burton work together. They love each other.
Yeah. I'm really surprised they didn't do, because again, it's slightly off, so you're not copyright, using likenesses, but I'm really surprised they didn't go the Robin Williams route.
I know. They went even stronger with the likenesses and Echoes than they did in the first one.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, I mean, anyway, that's its own episode. Regardless, my point is I do like what they were doing with Maynard in Echoes. Pincus, we'll see how the sequel goes.
Interesting. I'm trying to find Scarecrow now.
But let me tell you this. After all was said and done, I had fun reading it. I definitely would just put on the Danny Elfman score to Batman 89. I think we talked about that recently.
Yeah, I did that a few times.
And I would listen and I would read. And I had fun being back in that world. I do think it does a good job of being back in that world, even if it's a little too slavish to it. So, some of it I think is inspired. Some of it I think is a bit much, but I thought it was creative. And that's what I was going to say is I'm more excited about the next one because it's the Riddler. The Riddler's one of the biggies. And here it's Hugo Strange and Clayface. And those are good characters, but it feels like neither of them is one of the biggies. And so you got two sort of second tier Batman villains teamed up, and one of them isn't really a villain. And I think that for me, that was why I just wasn't, that's part of why I wasn't as into it. Whereas I'm a lot more interested to see how the Riddler evolves in the next one.
Yeah, same. Looking forward. And you know what? We'll review that one 6 months after it's released too.
I mean, the first, yeah, that's true.
Well,
Anyway,
it doesn't help the fact that when it comes out, it's right around Halloween and Scare-a-thon.
yeah,
You know, and I said I was been reading like 4 or 5 books a month. Like that time of year, I only got I think 3 done. Like it took me a little while to read this one, and then obviously, you know, you're not reading like I'm reading, and it's going to be tricky. And then it's Christmas, you know, so
yeah.
that's why I read it as quickly as I did. Like I didn't muck around because it's like, well, I've just finished reading books for Scare-a-thon. I'm gonna start reading more Christmas themed books. Like I need this to slot in between the two to sort of bridge the gap. So for that, it worked out well, but it just makes it hard for obviously wanting to review it.
I mean, I'll try to do my best to match your schedule because it would be nice to do it when it's a little fresher, but that's okay. Also, one other thing worth mentioning before we wrap it up is Drake Winston, who does become Robin in the Batman '89 comic. He also gets kind of a quick cameo here, just an acknowledgement. He shows up for like one scene, much like the Strong Man from Red Triangle.
Mhm.
So I think it's just admirable attempt by John Jackson Miller to try and create those connections wherever he could.
Yeah.
So, anything else you want to say about Batman Resurrection?
I don't think so. I
All
think I'm
right.
okay.
Well, all right. Well, then let's get some final thoughts and a letter grade. Go ahead.
Cool. I mean, like I said, really liked it. Didn't love it. Would love to love the next one. Maybe try to just let go of some of the threads, hopefully, for the next one a little bit, so it doesn't get too bogged down with it. Letter grade. You know, I didn't even think of this. I should have because I know you would have asked.
You know my game.
I don't know. I feel like a B minus might be too low, but I'm thinking B minus.
Okay. No, that's totally fair. Like I said, like I had fun reading it. It wasn't like so engrossing that I like couldn't put it down, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed being back in the world. I enjoyed a lot of the creative solutions that John Jackson Miller came up with to again pick up balls that we didn't even know were left on the floor from the first movie and pick those up and turn them into a whole new story. Some of it I think was really inspired. Some of it I do think was unnecessary, but it was what he did. And again, if you love the first movie, hey, at least you'll appreciate every single nod throughout. The story itself of how he wove together Clayface and Hugo Strange and then Batman and Vicky, I think was pretty good. And I think he did an admirable job. So I enjoyed it for what it was, even if it wasn't like amazing. I thought it was good and I enjoyed reading it. And I mean, you know, I don't read a lot of novels, so points for finishing this one and having a good time while I did, and I will do the same for the next one. I feel good about a B. A
Okay,
good solid B.
I'm not too far
And
apart.
yeah, and if you love Lawrence the Boombox Man, A plus plus plus.
This is the book you've been waiting for.
This is it. Isn't it? Who is Ryan Lauer? Isn't he obsessed with Lawrence? Isn't that part of his bit?
I don't know. I can't remember.
I feel like it is. I feel like so
I
this is
I
probably
genuinely can't
Ryan's favorite
remember.
book ever. Like I think Ryan threw away his Bible and put this on the shelf instead.
I can't remember. Does Lawrence survive this book?
I believe he does, but you're right. I can't remember either.
If he shows up again, if he shows up again, Miller's got to be taking the piss. Like,
So, okay, I'm looking on Wikipedia. It says Lawrence flees while Carlo, disguised as Batman, subdues the monster men. So, I think Lawrence is still on the loose. Good news.
okay.
Strange is sent to Blackgate. Let's see if Lawrence is where else. Shrek is still giving money to the Smilex ward. The Joker's corpse is found in the Last Laughs Tavern. So guess what? Joker really was dead. Shocker. Vicky leaves. Yeah, I think Lawrence is still on the loose.
Okay. Interesting.
Excellent. I can't wait to see what shenanigans he gets into next time. He buys an iPod. It's a game changer.
Well, we couldn't even, because it's still it'd only be at the most like 1991.
I know. I was just making it. Okay, he gets a Discman. What do you want from me? He gets a Discman that has the little cassette thing that he gets to pop into his car so he can listen to the Spice Girls. I don't know.
God, the old car kit. Love it.
Oh my God. All right. Well, Batman Resurrection, it is a lot of fun. And again, Jay Oz gave it like 8 out of 10. I'd go with like maybe like 6.5. So like, he liked it a little more than I did, but I still enjoyed the ride, and it's a fun read. So there you go. Check that out. And you've got a few months to read it before the next one comes out. And then someday we'll get around to talking about it here. But before we get to the rest of the things on our list here, we're going to talk about an animated episode of The Batman. We're just some emails. But first, a very important announcement.
DC High Volume Batman. The Dark Knight's definitive DC Comics stories. Adapted directly for audio for the very first time.
Fear. I have to make them afraid.
He's got a motorcycle. Get after him or I'll have you shot.
You mean blow up the building?
From this moment on, none of you are safe.
New episodes every Wednesday, wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, now that y'all know about that, it is time for us to review the next episode of The Batman. Two episodes in a row, Brendan. Oh my God.
And I'm here for one of them.
Richard Webster, Merry Christmas. This one's for you. Anyway, so last time we talked about the Laughing Cats with Jay Oz. This time we're talking about Fleurs du Mal. This is season 3, episode 8.
Jess told me translates to bad flowers.
That sounds right.
Mm-hmm.
So, what was it? Fleurs du Mal, directed by Anthony Chun, written by David Slack. This one aired on November 26th of 2005. Like the last one, I watched this one with my dear, sweet Harley. And yeah, she enjoyed it.
I watched this one with Henry.
Well, look at that.
I got asked a bajillion questions. Just watch it, mate.
She did not. She just watched it. And then when it was over, she wanted to watch the next one.
Atta girl.
So that's, it's exciting. Anyway, so we've got the mayor, voiced by Adam West. Always makes me happy. And he's like, it stinks, but we have to pave over Gotham Park because we got to put up a hospital. We need the hospital more than we need the park. And I hate that we're doing it, but we're doing it. And then he gets a delivery of some flowers. And if you get a delivery of flowers in Gotham City, don't accept the delivery. That's my little pro tip for you. But the flowers are, of course, bad news. And now all of a sudden the mayor has changed his tone. He's like, never mind. We're going to protect the park. In fact, we're starting a whole new thing here. It's Gotham Goes Green. All we care about is plants. We're going to destroy sidewalks. We're going to plant grass and trees. And that's what it's about. Then all of a sudden, Commissioner, same thing. He starts being all about Gotham Goes Green, and something is up. So you got Batman and Batgirl hot on the case, trying to figure out what's happening here. And Penguin is out there stealing stuff to make it rain. So
literally,
he's up to something too. Yeah,
literally wanting to see the clouds to make it rain.
Yes. And so the Penguin is out there. He stole stuff that, what did they say it did? They said it's either to develop film into pictures or to make it rain.
Seed clouds, essentially, yeah.
Yeah. And they're like, so unless the Penguin is starting a really big photo album, we think that somehow he wants to make it rain. And so they're on the track of the Penguin. Batman stops the Penguin and they get into a fight. Really good Batman Penguin fight. And then the Penguin melts away and we found out it's not the Penguin. He was made of plants. I can't imagine who's behind all this. Gordon tries to bring one of those shady flowers to Barbara. Barbara's too smart for it. So she knows that her dad is not her dad. And then there are a bunch of cops and they all turn into these creepy plant men, and Batman and Batgirl have to fight off the plant men. So they of course know that it's Poison Ivy behind it. They track her down to her evil lair, and she's got all these important people in these pods, and she has replaced them all with the plant versions of themselves. She does the same with Batman and Batgirl. So they get captured and their plant doppelgangers show up, and they're all living in some sort of like Matrix world where they learn to appreciate the environment. And Poison Ivy is going to change everything because with what she had the fake penguin steal, she has put seeds for these evil plants all over Gotham. She's going to make it rain. They're going to all come up. They're going to take over Gotham. And so it's going to be all of her plant people anyway. And so Batman frees himself. He frees Batgirl. He frees Commissioner Gordon. And they end up taking on their doppelgangers. So it's Batman versus Plant Batman, Batgirl versus Plant Batgirl. They, of course, defeat them. And then they manage to get like pesticide or herbicide in that rain, which kills all the other evil plant people in Gotham. And Poison Ivy is defeated. And that is Fleurs du Mal. So, Brendan, what did you think?
Well, doing a Jamie jumping to the end, I did think it was funny that, the pesticide in the seeds to make it rain. Wouldn't that kill all the plant life, not just the evil ones? I thought that was a little bit of a plot hole. But look, overall, genuinely, I really liked the episode. I thought it was. I mean, there's only so much you can do with Poison Ivy. And I mean, even in Batman the Animated Series, she had plant people and was living with a family that she created of plant people and stuff. So it's not reinventing the wheel, but it's a solid Poison Ivy story. You missed out my favorite part, which was
I don't think I did, but go ahead. I let me just say that I intentionally jumped over some parts because I want to mention them in my review, but please continue.
Okay. So the how they find Poison Ivy is they track down the florist who's been, or the florist company that's been delivering the flowers, and they walk into the florist, and this dear old lady is like, oh, like welcomes them, and Batman just clocks her straight in the face. And she turns into a plant lady and, disintegrates. And Batgirl's like, you knew she was a plant, right? And Batman just doesn't say anything. It killed me. Just like full on punches her straight in the face. Doesn't wait a beat. Just bang. I thought that's awesome. That really made me laugh for the right reasons. I thought that was a great moment. But yeah, as I was saying, yeah.
You think elder abuse is funny, Brendan? That's funny.
I think Batman knew she was a plant and just let Barbara think that he didn't.
I don't even know what to do with you right now. I don't even know what to do with this.
Oh, come on.
That's so disrespectful.
As if he didn't laugh out loud at that moment.
No, I love that moment.
Yeah, right. See, you're as big an asshole as I am. Don't pretend you're not. That was the highlight for me. I thought that was brilliant. It was played for laughs and it worked for all the right reasons. Like I said, really good Poison Ivy episode, and I love hearing Adam West's voice. It was a solid, fun Batman episode that gave me what I want. Batman fighting bad guys, and the fact that you said that he had to fight himself, which was always fun. And they didn't go too when there's usually like the hero fighting the evil version of themselves. Like usually there's something that distorts the evil version, so you can tell who's who. But they don't really do that. Like the evil version has a bit of a smirk on his face, I guess. But in the fast action moments, like you don't really know who's who, which is interesting. But and I also just really liked Barbara in this episode as well. Like her back and forth with her dad, and her discovering that her dad isn't himself and she just kind of lets him play out for a little bit, but she's onto it because when Alfred gets one of the plants delivered that's for Bruce, and Bruce is like, destroy them straight away, and then he realizes that Gordon's infected, and the first thing he does is Barbara. Like, he needs to go and help Barbara, so he arrives sort of at the right moment, but Barbara was able to defend herself. Like, she didn't need Batman to come and rescue her, which I thought was a nice touch as well. So yeah, really solid, fun Poison Ivy episode.
All right. Well, I thought this was a great episode. I really, really liked it. And to your point, like, yeah, there's only so much you can do with Poison Ivy, but this is a great Poison Ivy story. I love having the Penguin in there as well. I think that's something that this show does very well, is when they do a great job of mixing up villains sometimes. And I thought that really worked. I thought it was a really good story. I love the plant people. I loved how they looked, like kind of like that dark green with the glowing yellow eyes. Like, they looked so cool and creepy. And because they're plant people and not sentient humans, they were allowed to like have these really great fights with Batman and Batgirl taking them out. And yes, the part of Batman punching out the old lady plant person was awesome. I honestly had forgotten about it, so I'm glad you brought it up because it was hilarious. But for me, it was Batman killing the plant version of himself by shoving a bomb in his mouth and jumping away as he explodes.
Yep.
And then Batgirl defeating the plant version of herself by running her over with a lawnmower.
I forgot about that. That bit's awesome too.
Amazing. This is a great episode, and there's some really great animation in here, not just the action scenes, but there's some great stuff like when Batman's in the Batmobile that just looked really cool. So I think it's a good story, good action, good animation. Like, for me, can't ask for more. This was really good.
Yeah.
And I think it was,
can't disagree.
After the first few minutes, I was like, oh, I think this is a really good one. Because the last few were like, okay, or some were like not great. This is a really strong one. So yeah, agreed. Was really happy with it. What would you give it for a letter grade?
I'll give it an A.
Yep, I'm with you.
Yeah, really enjoyed it.
Yep, really great Poison Ivy episode.
Yeah.
So Fleurs du Mal, check it out. Again, the order we're following is the same order on Wikipedia as it is on Netflix, but Max is different, so be aware. It's coming off of Netflix in a couple weeks, so just got to check the Wikipedia. But next time we do it, the next episode up is Cash for Toys. But we're not ready to say goodbye just yet. We still have to check in with you fine feathered finks, so let's crack open the Wayne Manor Mailbox. It's time again for Wayne Manor Mailbox.
You've got mail.
Darren, what is a letter for me?
Maybe temporary.
She wrote a letter.
You're one hell of a messenger. This is all, Master Wayne.
Alrighty, what do I got here? First email. Oh my god. It's from Richard Citrone.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he says, Andy, Jamie, and Brendan, first of all, accept my apologies because this email is long overdue. I wanted to tell you guys how honored I am that you included my interview in the 10th anniversary show. Jamie, my wife, and I really enjoyed listening to the episode, and Andy, we both teared up when you described the conversation you had with your mom about our engagement. Thank you guys for all your kind words. They were very much heartfelt. Jamie, I'd absolutely be up for the four of us grabbing a beer one day. You're good people, and I definitely consider you guys my friends. Congratulations on the best podcast, the best Batman podcast in existence. Wishing you another 10 years. So thank you, Richard.
Oh, cheers,
Yeah,
buddy.
really cool. Yeah, you and me both, man. Like, I think about that last day with my mom. It's crazy that was part of the conversation. And well, they're married now. I've seen pictures and videos, so congrats to you, Richard, and we definitely appreciate the message
too. And Richard's punching; he's doing well for himself. We'll say that.
All right. Well, no, thank you for the sweet message. And yeah, we're 11 years now. So, all right. Next message here is from Dill Dietz. It says, hope all is well, Holy BatCasters. I have a quick Superman comment and question. First, as a toy addict that's been clean for 7 years, that Superman Crypto 2-pack just might cause a relapse. Oh well, there are worse problems to have. Now, a bat question. The Dark Knight is basically a perfect movie, but one part that keeps gnawing at me on every viewing. At the end, Batman takes the fall for Harvey's crimes, and Gordon gives the fantastic speech as the music swells. Emotionally, it works, but why does Batman need to take the blame at all? A homicidal clown is killing people on live TV, and an escaped Arkham inmates are running loose around the city. Why not blame one of them? I would love to hear your thoughts. Sorry about the Dark Knight blasphemy, Jamie, and thanks for the great podcast, Dill. Thank you, Dill. And yeah, those Superman toys are going to be tempting, so I get that. And then I do remember this coming up back in 2008 when The Dark Knight came out is, why not just say the Joker did it? Brendan, any thoughts on that?
I don't know. I mean, it's not the story that Nolan wanted to tell, I guess. I don't know. It led to the annoying part of Dark Knight Rises where he'd, been retired for I can't remember how many years it was now.
8.
It was that long.
8 years, yeah.
Yeah. It would have been cool, I guess, if a sequel had have happened sooner, and obviously it being the original story they were probably working on before the unfortunate passing of Heath, where the cops were after Batman as well, because I don't dislike the stories where Batman has to work outside the law, where he's not sort of buddy with everyone. So could have been interesting, but yeah, I don't know. It's just creative decision that Nolan made, and we just have to accept it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I am sure there are in-film reasons why. I mean, by the time everything happens with Two-Face, the Joker is already in custody, so I don't know if that's part of it. It could be, I mean, because then you're saying all this happened maybe before they caught him, but then you'd have been saying it would have been happening during the boat thing. I don't know. I'm sure there are reasons, but at the end of the day, it's what you said, Brendan. This is the story that no one wanted to tell, and he wanted to tell a story about Batman, really using the title "The Dark Knight" as inspiration of, about Batman making the ultimate sacrifice for Gotham. He's whatever Gotham needs him to be. And in that moment, what Gotham needs is they need their faith restored in a true hero. And he's going to let that be Harvey Dent. And he's going to take the fall because that's what he thinks is best for Gotham. So it's telling the hero story about Batman doing the most unselfish thing he can think of and making himself the bad guy for the sake of everyone else.
Yeah.
That's, and again, that's what he wanted to tell. So again, you could probably find loopholes and go, well, what if you had said it was this, and you probably could. But in the moment, again, in that moment where Batman and Gordon make that decision, or especially Batman makes that decision of like, Gotham's going to tear itself apart when they learn what has happened to Harvey Dent, Batman going, well, then they can't find out. And so I'm going to take it on myself. And that's good enough for me.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, next email here is from Hugh Morris. It says, "What's up, Holy BatCast? R.I.P. Val Kilmer. But you guys forgot to mention one of the greatest movies he was ever in, which was MacGruber." I only saw it once and I forgot he was in it, so I appreciate the reminder. Maybe I need to revisit it. Last episode, there was a question about missed opportunities in the DCEU, and one that I thought would be cool was if at the end of The Flash, when Clooney is revealed, there would be different versions depending on which theater you went to. Like, one version could have been previous Batmans or even rumored or fan cast actors for the role. Also thought that the DCU had some of the best trailers. Thanks for the awesome shows. You guys are the best. Thanks, Hugh. So yeah, I forgot Val Kilmer was in MacGruber. Did you remember that, Brendan?
I've never seen MacGruber, so
I saw it in the theater. I remember it being funny, but I remember nothing about it.
Because it's based on an SNL sketch, isn't it? Am I remembering correctly? Yeah. So I wasn't, that was before I was watching SNL or even paying attention to it. So it's one of those things that sort of came out over here. Like, I think it might have even been straight to DVD.
Oh,
Right? So
really?
it's kind of like, okay, cool. Yeah. I should check it
All
out.
right. And then what do you think of the idea of what if at the end of The Flash, there were different cuts with different cameos at the end?
I don't love that because that'd give me the shits because I'd want to see all of them. Like I've been saying for the last, almost 2 years, like, honestly, the early cut that I got to see where it didn't reveal who the Bruce Wayne was, I thought that worked better than revealing Clooney, like, because it sort of left it up to your headcanon. Like, and to be perfectly honest, I thought it was a bit more of a laugh too. Like, I could have done without Barry's tooth falling out. Like, that was taking it too far, but who the F is that? Yeah, I didn't need to see who it was, so I'm sort of going in the other direction.
All right. Yeah, I get that, and I understand. I think it's a fun idea. I think logistically it would be a nightmare. So, no, I mean, it could have been fun, kind of like a modern version of what they tried to do with Clue, but even that, I guess, failed back in the day. So, yeah. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. Of all the things that I would have loved to have tweaked in the Flash, that one's pretty low on my list.
Yeah,
and I like the Flash a lot, but that's, there's still I think missed opportunities in that movie. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
All right, next message is Rob from Halifax. It says, "Hey guys, I love the show. This is a random one, but I was wondering your thoughts. I started working on a Bane cosplay, which is a mix of the comic and Arkham Origins, and I've been thinking about which prop item he could carry. I read somewhere that Bane lacks a signature item, like the Riddler's cane or Mr. Freeze's ice gun. He obviously has the Venom tanks and arm controls, but I think he could do with an item or weapon similar to Batman's gadgets. I was thinking maybe some sort of shotgun or machine gun. What do you guys think? Any other villains that could stand to get a signature weapon or item? Thanks, Rob from Halifax." Thanks, Rob. Well, very cool. I'd be curious to see the cosplay, see what you come up with, but that's neat. But yeah, I mean, because Bane is so powerful, he doesn't need a quote unquote weapon. But what if he had one? Brendan, what would Bane use?
Isn't it obvious? Should have a bomb.
Yeah, you should have a trench coat and a hat.
Yeah, hell yeah. You should have an icicle-shaped bomb. That's my answer, and I'm sticking to it.
Well,
I mean, I don't know. Like, he doesn't really, because his weapon is the brawn. Like, he doesn't really need anything. I mean, like I'm thinking like some sort of knife or blade, but like even that, like, that's the whole point. He is the weapon. So yeah, I mean, I think if you just stick with the Venom tanks and the tubes and that sort of stuff, like, I think you're set. Like, you don't really need anything.
Yeah.
But if you do, carry a bomb because it'll be funny. And hopefully people will get the joke.
Yeah, I get that. But I get the question because, I mean, almost every Batman villain does have like a cool prop or weapon. Catwoman's got her whip, Riddler has his cane, Joker has a cane, Penguin has an umbrella, Scarecrow has a sickle, right? Like, they're cool. Weapons are cool. I feel like a gun for Bane feels too much. I wouldn't go with a gun. I mean, because he is about the strength, I would go with like some sort of really big blunt force instrument, like a giant club of some sort. Like, I keep picturing Lucille the Bat from Walking Dead, some variation on that, but it would have to be like massive and oversized that Bane would carry it. That's the best I got off the top of my head. So, yeah. All right. Next message here. It is from Jim. It says, "Hey, has there been any thought of having a visual component to the show? For instance, you've had several episodes focused on toys, merch, memorabilia, etc., but none of them are visible, so it would be cool to see the hosts interact." Thanks, Jim. And the answer is, has there been thought about it? Absolutely. It all comes down to time. I have definitely considered, like, if I could do more with the YouTube channel, edit more videos, things like that. I would love to do it. It's just, we have a hard enough time finding the schedule for doing the audio version. I just don't have the time to put together videos. I would love to. I even when you sent this, I even thought, I'm like, oh, do I take the last episode with Jay and edit in the pictures of the toys and put it on YouTube? Like, would that work? But I don't know when I would do that. So yeah, until I free up some time, it has to stay audio. That's why I put all the pictures on Facebook. I know that's not perfect, but it's better than nothing. But yeah, I know, and I would love to do that. I just, unfortunately, right now I'm tapped out, and I don't know when I could.
Does that mean we'd have to put our pants back on to record as well?
No, because they can't see waist down anyway.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I was going to say, geez.
Stay comfy. Yep. All right. Next email is from Cam Stewart. It says, yo guys, I've been listening for a long time and I respect your opinions on all things DC. I was a big fan of Matt Reeves as the Batman, and now I'm scared that we won't see a sequel. It's been delayed multiple times, and I just saw a report saying Matt isn't interested in doing a sequel if Rob can't film this year. My question is, what do you really think is going on? Do you believe James Gunn has anything to do with it having problems? Something stings, and I want to know what you think it is. Oh, Cam, it's an interesting question. I mean, we've made some speculation in the past.
We've covered it a bit.
But it's so hard to tell. So, Brendan, we'll answer the question. Like, if where would your smart money be on what's actually happening? Because there've been rumors, there has been speculation, there has been the official line, which is, oh, he just needs time to get the script ready. I don't buy that. I'll say that. I don't buy that at all. I do think something else is happening. I don't buy, oh, they just want more time on the script. It's been over 3 years. Like, yeah. I don't buy it. So Brendan, what do you think?
I think I don't want to go off on like a 20-minute, half an hour tangent like we have previously about it.
I know.
But I mean, yeah, something's not kosher. If we ever find out what that is exactly, who knows? But yeah, it's very strange. And this is something that Gunn and Safran inherited. They, it never made sense to me whilst the DC EU was still happening, which was, still a thing when this movie was in production and being made. Like, why? Because you had your DC EU Batman, and there's the whole thing with Affleck and him wanting to bow out and blah, blah, blah. But Affleck came back every time they asked him to play. So I don't buy the fact that he wouldn't have done a solo movie if the timing and money was right. I just don't. Because if he was really done with the role, he wouldn't have come back, three times? To be Bruce Wayne in the continuity of those movies. So it was always odd having this outlier while those movies were happening. It's even stranger now that they're rebooting the whole DCEU. And again, it's this outlier. And for whatever reason, I think it's asking people to wait for too long. I think I've said it on one of the recent episodes where this was sort of brought up again. Like, what should have happened is the Batman came out in early 2022 when it did. The Penguin was released late last year late last year or early this year. Anyway, whenever it might have been late last year and finished up early this year. I can't remember. When that Penguin series wrapped up airing, the Batman Part 2 should have been in theaters within the next month. Because what the Penguin achieved for me is at the end of it was, I actually kind of want to see what happens now. I'm intrigued again. But no, I have to wait another, 3, maybe 4 years? Yeah, and like I said, by that time, we're going to be hopefully, knee deep in a really successful DC universe, and it just seemed it's too strange to me to have, again, this outlier standalone that doesn't mean anything when it doesn't mean anything in terms of the continuity movies, obviously. when that's what people are now trained. People, connected universes are the norm now. That's what people are trained. It's so funny. 20 years ago when Batman Begins came out, people thought it was a prequel to Batman 89 because every movie series was, people had never really experienced a prequel before. And, mind you, Flintstones in Viva Rock Vegas had come out 5 years earlier. So if people were paying attention, they'd know what a prequel is.
They would. You know what? Changed the game. Viva Rock Vegas changed everything.
It did. But now people will expect it to be connected again, and it won't. It's just weird. It's such a weird situation that we're in, and we've given what we think would be the right resolution, which is let Matt Reeves do what he wants on HBO, and let the big screen Batman be the big screen Batman. It's a no-win situation because there are people like us who are like, I don't really care that much if it doesn't continue. But there are people that this is their Batman. They desperately want to see what happens. And, you're going to piss them off if you don't see it through. So I'm no closer to giving you an answer of what I think is going on or if we're ever going to see it. Yeah, your guess is as good as mine. It's like there's no real winners in the situation because you could make people like us happy and just go, you know what, we're going to move on. Too much time has passed, and we want the new Batman in the DCU that's going to continue on after Pattinson's made his sequel, next two movies, whatever. And then, like I said, you've got the hardcore people that are like, F that. We want to see what happens with, the Matt Reeves trilogy. So you're going to piss someone off no matter what you do.
Yeah. I'm going to stick to just the question about not what I want to happen or what should happen, but the question is, what do I think is actually going on? I think the first thing is that there are rumors that, that Matt Reeves' personal life has prevented him from working on the movie. What that means, I don't know. There are further rumors of what it could mean, but I don't want to spread bad information. But if, a year from now, they actually tell us that, then there's your answer. It's like what's happened is something else is going on in Matt Reeves' life, that something more important where his priorities were not about making a sequel to the Batman. And if we ever find that out, boom, voila, there it is. There's the info. But if it's one of those things where, and this came up not that long ago, where James Gunn and Peter Safran, they inherited the Reeves Batman verse. They didn't greenlight it. They didn't champion it. It wasn't their decision, but they inherited it. Just like they inherited Shazam! Fury of the Gods and Blue Beetle and The Flash and Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Those were the 5 pieces they inherited it. And they're like, well, we want to start a new DCU, but we've got these 5 pieces that now we have to figure out what we want to do with. The 4 movies that were already made, they released them.
Mm-hmm.
But the Reeves Batman verse wasn't made. They didn't know what they were doing with it. And if Matt Reeves wanted more time, or if he was just moving slowly, maybe that's the case. I don't know. It got to a point, and this is my speculation. It is coupled with speculation of other fans who will remain nameless. I will respect their anonymity. Where if it got to a point where they're like, well, if we're waiting this long, why don't we just pause and wait to see how this new DCU takes shape? Let's not rush ahead with a sequel to the Batman because we may not need it. So let's just stop. And it's there in case we need it, in case we want it, we can move forward with it.
Break in case of emergency.
Yes, it's behind glass to break in case of emergency, in case Superman bombs into the earth and the new DCU is dead on arrival, then at least they know they can make Matt Reeves as the Batman Part 2. And if it makes what the first one did, at least it'll make them some money. But if the Superman and the launch of the new DCU is successful, the priority becomes getting a Batman into that universe.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what I think is going on right now. Is the Batman Part 2 is in a wait and see holding pattern, and it will be determined on the reception and box office of Superman and what the audience wants to see next. And again, I'm not here to debate if that's fair, if that's the right thing to do, if, I don't know. But as of right now, with the little bits we know, I have a hunch that that's what's going on. It is not the priority. That priority is launching the new DCU, so they're waiting to see.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And again, all that might, be completely moot if Matt Reeves comes out tomorrow and goes, yeah, I've been going through a divorce or whatever, who knows? But I mean, that's our best guess. But I mean, your question is the same question fans of that movie have been asking. And I mean, even non-fans, everyone's like, what the hell's going on? There's something else going on. They're not telling us. And it is the one thing James Gunn, I feel like, has not been transparent about for whatever reason. All right. Next email is from Richard Webster, and he just said he's sending an email to Harley, and he says, I want to say, Harley, you have great taste. Thank you for getting on your dad to watch more of the Batman cartoon. Keep up the good work, and don't let daddy slack off. Sincerely, Richard.
It's got a point.
Yeah, well, thank you, Richard, and I'll pass that along to Harley. All right, one last email here. This one is from Ian. It says, hey there, Holy BatCast crew. I hope all is well. It isn't so much of a question as much as wanting to make sure I'm not the only one who's ever noticed. Am I crazy, or does the track All That Is Good from the Watchmen score sound eerily similar to A Beautiful Lie from BVS? I think it might be the same vocalist. Fast forward to the 3-minute and 48-second mark on All That Is Good, and you'll hear what I mean. I'm sure I could look it up, but emailing you guys is more fun. Keep on keeping on. Cheers, Ian. All right, Ian. You know what? I have never noticed, but challenge accepted. I'm going to go ahead and edit them in right here so everybody can hear and decide if they're similar. I'm not listening to them right now, but you know what? Pause. I'm going to go ahead and pull it up. You know what? I'm going to commit to this. Ian asks a very important question, and I can't
you
let
asked
him
the
down.
wrong person with me because I've never listened to the Watchmen soundtrack.
I can't let Ian down. He's put too much trust into me, so now I got to listen. Hang tight, but I will edit it in here for the folks at home. I'll do the work, Ian, because that's just how much we love you here at Holy BatCast. All right, 3 minutes and 48 seconds. What's it? All That Is Good. Where are you? And next is a snippet from A Beautiful Lie from Batman v Superman. All right, interesting. I can hear the similarity. I can. I don't think you're crazy. It's not 1-to-1. In my opinion, it doesn't sound exactly the same, but I can certainly hear the similarity in the style. So I hear what you're saying, but again, I'm going to put it in there for the folks at home, and everybody can just, make up your own mind. So thanks, Ian. Appreciate the heads up. I would have never noticed if it weren't for you. Just because I haven't listened to the Watchmen score in so long, to be honest. It's a good score. I just spent a minute. But yeah, there we go. Little heads up comparison there. Anyway, that's it. We're going to close the Wayne Manor Mailbox. Thank you to everybody who wrote in. If you've got a message, please send those to holybatcast@rf4rm.com. But that is it for this episode of the show. Thank you all out there. And Brendan, thank you too. Good to have you back. Glad we made it happen. Glad I read a whole novel in order to make this evening possible.
6 months late, but you still did it.
You know what? That within a year, I'm calling it a success.
Look, always a pleasure, never a chore, my friend.
And now I can actually listen to the episode that the Fire Rises did on it, because I did not listen. I did not listen because I didn't want to get spoiled. I didn't want to know who Dr. Hugh Auslander was.
Yeah.
I wanted to be shocked and amazed, and I was. I was not disappointed. Anyway, no, great to have you anywhere that the folks at home can keep up with you.
Just on Facebook in the Real Fans groups, or I'm on Letterboxd as well. You can find me there, Brendan Lowe. I think I'm Letterboxd. I don't know, I can't remember if it's Lobby 007 or not. I mentioned reading before. I'm also on Goodreads, which is kind of the Letterboxd for books, if you're that way inclined. So
I didn't know that was a thing, but that's cute.
Hmm.
All right, cool. Well, I already told you guys where to find me. Thank you, as always, for joining us. We appreciate it. Please do follow or subscribe to Holy BatCast wherever you get your podcasts. We would love that. And if you love the show, something else you can do to support us that doesn't cost a penny. It just takes a second of your day. Rate and review us. A 5-star rating would be awesome. It helps get the word out, and it makes me feel good about myself for like 30 seconds of the day. And you can't put a price on that. That's really important. I really would appreciate it. Find the show on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for Holy BatCast. If you've got something for the Wayne Manor Mailbox, that email address again is holybatcast@rf4rm.com. Our theme music was created by the talented Gaurav Venkateswar. You can find his work at gvtunes.com. And that will do it. On behalf of Brendan, I've been Andy. We'll see you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel. And Brendan, let's broaden our minds. Lawrence? Holy BatCast is not affiliated with Warner Brothers or DC Entertainment. The views and opinions shared by the participants are theirs and theirs alone and do not represent the companies or organizations they happen to work for. I should have said on behalf of Brendan and Lawrence, I've been Andy. But good enough.
No, that was good. I liked that. We were in sync too.
I blow the candle.
Yep, how you doing?
Come on, Harley. I'm talking about Batman.
Harlan, Brendan's talking about Batman. It's very important stuff.
I was on a roll and you've interrupted me. Come on now.
I blow the candle.
Okay, good night, honey.
I blow the candle.
Yeah, you did. Very good.
Come on.
I love the just saying the same thing over and over and over and over. Like you've acknowledged, yeah, I know you did. I know, yes, darling, I know you did.
Yep.
Henry still does that.
We're at Epcot. I want to go on the monorail. I know we're going to go on the monorail. I want the monorail. I know we're going to go. I want the monorail. We're on our way. I want the monorail. Jesus, stop it.
We're on the fucking monorail.